Right now, like as you are listening to this, you are completely surrounded.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just sitting in this invisible, pulsing ocean of electromagnetic waves.
It's kind of wild to think about.
It really is. I mean, think about it. Your banking details, your private texts, work emails, they aren't just sitting neatly inside your phone or your laptop.
Right. They're physically flying through the air.
Exactly. Just passing through walls, bouncing around whatever room you are in right now. But because we can't see this, this digital ocean, we rarely stop to ask just how secure those invisible tethers actually are.
Well, we live under this really profound illusion of safety, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we feel secure simply because our phone is physically in our hand, or maybe because we're sitting inside a locked house. But the data itself is entirely unbounded.
Unbounded.
Right. It is literally floating out there in the physical world for anyone with the right equipment to just, catch.
Which is an incredibly unsettling thought, and honestly, it's the exact reason we are doing this deep dive today.
Sure.
We are unpacking a highly specialized curriculum on hacking wireless networks. Specifically, we're looking at a module from CEHv13.
Right, module 16.
Yeah, and the mission here is to completely demystify how these wireless networks actually work under the hood, look at the rather dramatic arms race to secure them, and reveal exactly how attackers are exploiting the radio waves all around you.
It's a fascinating arms race.
So, all right, let's unpack this. Before we can even get into the hacking part, I feel like we have to grasp the physical reality of how these networks are built, and that all starts with the hardware broadcasting those waves.
Yeah, the physical layer is essentially the Wild West of networking.
I like that, the Wild West.
It is. When you pull out your phone to look for Wi-Fi, you're looking for a name, like the coffee shop's name or your home network.
Right.
In networking terms, that is the SSID, or Service Set Identifier. So it's just this human-readable tag up to 32 characters long.
Okay.
But underneath that friendly name is the BSSID, the Basic Service Set Identifier.
And that's different.
Very. This is the actual hard-coded physical address, the MC address of the router or access point broadcasting that signal.
I always wondered how that worked under the surface, actually.
Yeah, it's just a label hiding the machine's real identity.
Right. But you know what really blew my mind in this curriculum? The section on antennas.
Oh, yeah.
Just how those signals are pushed into the world.
Yeah.
Because you have your standard omnidirectional antennas, and I just picture those like a bare light bulb hanging from the ceiling.
Okay, that's a great way to look at it.
It pushes energy out in a full 360-degree circle. It illuminates the whole room, which is obviously what you want if you're just like walking around a house with a tablet.
Exactly. But the trade-off with that omnidirectional light bulb approach is diffusion.
Diffusion.
Right. The energy spreads out so rapidly that it doesn't travel very far. And that is where directional antennas come into play.
Okay, so if the other one is a light bulb,
then a directional antenna is a flashlight. Or even like a laser pointer.
Oh.
It focuses all that radio frequency energy into a tight beam, drastically improving both the transmission range and its ability to clearly hear responses over background noise.
And people take this to the absolute extreme, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Because the material mentions Yagi antennas, which create this highly unidirectional beam, but the one that actually stopped me in my tracks was the parabolic grid antenna.
Yeah, those are serious pieces of hardware.
It literally looks like a satellite dish made out of a wire grid. And apparently a parabolic grid can beam a focused Wi-Fi signal up to 10 miles away.
Easily 10 miles, yeah.
Wait, so if a parabolic grid can shoot a Wi-Fi signal 10 miles, does that physically mean an attacker sitting in a van 10 miles away could theoretically be eavesdropping on my home network?
I mean, if they have a clear line of sight, yes.
That is terrifying.
It is entirely possible.
Yeah.
And that perfectly illustrates the fundamental vulnerability of wireless communication. Because the data travels through the air as radio frequencies, anyone with the right antenna can hear the transmission.
Right, because there's no physical wire to tap.
Exactly. Think about a traditional wired network. A hacker has to break into your building and physically plug a cable into a wall port. With a wireless network, the physical perimeter of your building means nothing.
And laws just don't protect you at all.
Not even a little bit.
Okay, so since the walls don't work, we obviously have to protect the data itself. And to do that, you need a unified system so all these different devices can talk to each other securely.
Right, which brings us to the famous alphabet soup of Wi-Fi.
The IEEE 802.11 standards.
Yeah, and it has been quite the evolutionary journey, let me tell you.
I bet.
The original 802.11 standard came out way back in 1997.
Oh, wow.
and it operated at a blistering 1 to 2 megabits per second.
That is not fast.
Not at all. To put that in perspective, trying to load a single modern high-definition web page on that connection would be an exercise in pure frustration.
Yeah, fast forward to today, and the numbers are just staggering. I mean, we have 802.11x, which most of us just know as Wi-Fi 6.
Right. Much easier to say.
Definitely. And the materials note that it manages insanely dense environments, like sports stadiums where thousands of people are all streaming video at once.
Yeah, and it does that using a technology called OFDMA.
Which lets it hit speeds up to, what, 9.6 gigabits per second?
Yep. And OFDMA is just a brilliant piece of engineering.
How does it actually work?
Well, instead of treating network traffic like a single delivery truck that can only take one package to one house at a time, OFDMA effectively chops that delivery truck up into smaller compartments.
Oh, I see.
It allows the router to serve multiple devices simultaneously on the exact same frequency channel. It minimizes the waiting line.
That makes a lot of sense.
And they're already pushing past that with the emerging 802.11b or Wi-Fi 7.
Right.
That one uses even more complex frequency splitting to aim for 30 gigabits per second.
30 gigabits? That's insane.
It is. But it's designed for the future of, like, virtual reality and instantaneous smart device communication.
Okay, but I have to ask, though. It feels like every couple of years I'm told to buy a new router with a new letter at the end, like ABGNACX.
Sure.
Is this just the tech industry trying to sell us slightly faster Netflix buffering? Or are security upgrades genuinely driving these new standards?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is really a marriage of commercial demand and critical security.
How do you mean?
Let's be honest. Consumers want faster internet. They want instantaneous 4K video. That speed is what actually gets a new router off the store shelf.
True.
However, the networking industry uses that demand as a vehicle to distribute security. They essentially piggyback critical cryptographic upgrades onto these speed standards.
Oh, that is sneaky.
It is. For instance, the robust security protocols we rely on today were bundled into upgrades that promise better range and speed. If they just released a box labeled, better security but exactly the same speed, adoption would be terribly slow.
People wouldn't buy it.
Exactly. So by bundling world-class encryption into a box that makes your video games lag less, they force global security upgrades.
It's like a Trojan horse for network security.
Precisely.
So clever. Okay, so we've got these high-speed, invisible waves bouncing miles away, and literally anybody with an antenna can grab them.
Right.
How do you actually control who gets to use the network? Because before you can scramble a message, you have to prove who you are.
You need bouncers at the door.
Exactly. Authentication.
Yeah. And there are two dominant paradigms for authentication. The first is what almost everyone listening probably has in their home right now.
Pre-shared key?
Yep. Pre-shared key or PSK mode. There's just a single shared password. You type the exact same password into your smartphone, your smart TV, your guest's laptop.
Super easy to set up.
Incredibly simple. But the alternative is centralized authentication, usually called 802.1x or enterprise mode.
Right. And the curriculum notes this relies on something called a radius server.
It does.
So how does that fundamentally change the bouncer at the door?
Think of a radius server as an automated, highly diligent security guard standing at the network door with a master guest list.
Okay.
Instead of one shared password, every single employee gets unique credentials. Maybe it's a distinct username and password, or even a digital certificate installed invisibly on their laptop.
So it's customized per person.
Exactly. When you try to connect, the router doesn't just let you in and holds you in a waiting room and asks the radius server, hey, does this specific person's ID actually check out?
Oh, I see. So PSK is like having a single physical key to the front door of your house. You copy it and give it to your family, your babysitter, your friends.
Yes, exactly.
But centralized authentication is like a secure corporate office where everyone gets a personalized ID badge that only opens specific doors.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. And the security difference between the two is massive.
I would imagine.
Yeah, because in a corporate environment, using a radius server, if an employee quits or a laptop gets stolen, the IT department just crosses that one name off the master guest list.
Right, they just kill the badge.
That single badge is deactivated. The rest of the company doesn't even notice. But with a pre-shared key, if one person's device is compromised or a roommate moves out,
you have to change the locks on the entire house.
Exactly. You have to manually update the password on every single smart bulb, TV, and phone connected to that router.
Which means businesses using PSK are playing a very, very dangerous game.
Oh, absolutely.
But checking IDs at the door is really only half the battle. Because once you're inside, your data is still flying through the air.
Yep.
The attacker in the van 10 miles away can still hear you. This is where encryption comes in, right?
That's right.
It scrambles the actual conversations, so the attacker just hears static.
Yeah.
And looking at the history of Wi-Fi encryption and the sources, I mean, it reads like a desperate, dramatic race to patch catastrophic failures.
It is the literal definition of an arms race.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The first major attempt was WEP, Wired Equivalent Privacy. The goal was to make a wireless signal just as private as a physical cable. But WEP was a spectacular, almost historic failure.
The curriculum is pretty brutal on this, honestly. It points out that WEP was rolled out without any real academic peer review by cryptologists.
They just built it and shipped it.
Unreal. And the fatal flaw was something called an initialization vector, or IV. What exactly went wrong there?
Well, to scramble data, encryption uses a complex mathematical key.
Okay.
But if you use the exact same key for every single message, patterns emerge and attackers can reverse engineer it.
Right, that makes sense.
So WP used an initialization vector, the small piece of extra data mixed with the secret key to make sure every packet of data looked unique.
Good in theory.
In theory, sure. The problem was WP's 5e was only 24 bits long. That means there were only about 16 million possible unique combinations.
Which sounds like a lot to a human, but to a computer.
To a computer on a busy network, 16 million combinations are exhausted in a few hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And when the router runs out of unique IVs, it just starts repeating them. It reuses the exact same mathematical scramble.
Oh.
Exactly. So an attacker just sits quietly, recording the traffic. When they see those repeating IVs, it's like seeing someone use the same page of a decoder ring twice.
And they can just crack it.
Yeah. The attacker overlays the repeating patterns, the math cancels out, and they can completely reconstruct the key stream. They can crack the network password in minutes using free software.
Minutes.
Literally minutes. WEP gave people a false sense of security that was honestly more dangerous than having an open network.
So the industry goes into full panic mode, obviously.
Total panic.
And they roll out WPA Wi-Fi protected access. But from what I read in the module, this was really just a Band-Aid.
It had to be a Band-Aid. I mean, they couldn't tell millions of consumers to throw their expensive routers in the trash.
True, people would have rioted.
Right. So WPA was designed to be pushed as a firmware update to existing WEP hardware. The big addition was TKP, the Temporal Key Integrity Protocol.
Which changed the encryption key for every single packet of data.
Exactly. It solved the repeating IV problem because the lock changed constantly.
Okay, so problem solve.
Well, no, because TKP was forced to run on the old, weak WEP hardware, it inherited structural vulnerabilities.
Ah, of course.
For instance, it lacked forward secrecy. If an attacker eventually cracked your password a year later, they could go back and decrypt all the old traffic they had been recording for the past 12 months.
That is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Which brings us to 2006 and the gold standard that most of the world still uses right now, WPA2.
A massive leap forward.
Right. They finally stopped trying to patch old hardware and brought in AES.
AES, or the Advanced Encryption Standard, completely changed the game. It is a highly rigorous block cipher encryption used by the federal government for classified information.
Wow.
Yeah, and WPA2 paired AES with another protocol called CCMP, which acted as a cryptographic guard to ensure the data packets hadn't been tampered with mid-flight. For a long time, WPA2 was considered mathematically bulletproof.
But even giants fall, right?
They always do.
Because the material details how WPA2 was fundamentally shaken by KRACK key reinstallation attacks. And beyond that, WPA2 was apparently always vulnerable to offline dictionary attacks.
Right.
Can you explain how an attacker does that without the router just, locking them out for guessing too many times?
Okay, so when your phone joins a WPA2 network, there is a cryptographic handshake between the device and the router.
Just them saying hello to each other securely.
Exactly. But an attacker can passively record that handshake right out of the air. Because WPA2's math allows it, the attacker can take that recorded handshake file back to a basement full of supercomputers.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, they can guess millions of passwords a second against that file, entirely offline. The router has absolutely no idea it's happening, so it can't lock the attacker out for guessing incorrectly.
So enter the savior, announced in 2018, WPA3.
Finally.
And the curriculum details how WPA3 tackles this exact problem using SAE, the simultaneous authentication of equals. Or I guess it's also known as the Dragonfly key exchange?
Yep, Dragonfly.
So how does SAE actually stop the basement supercomputer.
It changes the rules of the handshake. SAE forces a live, interactive mathematical negotiation between your device and the router.
Oh, so no more recording it for later.
Exactly. You simply cannot capture a handshake and take it offline to crack it. If you want to guess a password on WPA3, you have to guess it to the router's face.
And because it's a live interaction,
the router can just lock you out after 3 or 4 bad guesses. It makes even relatively weak passwords incredibly difficult to crack.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. WPA3 fixes the math, but we live in a messy real world.
Very messy.
Like, you probably have a 5-year-old smart TV or a wireless printer that physically doesn't understand WPA3.
Most people do.
So to keep these devices working, modern routers offer this transition mode. They broadcast both WPA2 and WPA3 at the exact same time, but the source material highlights a glaring flaw here.
A huge flaw.
Yeah. If transition mode is active, an attacker can actively interfere with the connection and force your brand new WPA3 capable phone to downgrade and connect using the older breakable WPA2 standard.
Yep.
I mean, it feels like building a state-of-the-art bank vault with laser grids, but intentionally leaving a flimsy screen door on the back for older customers.
What's fascinating here is the eternal tension between cryptographic rigor and user convenience.
Right.
If the Wi-Fi Alliance had strictly forbidden transition mode, millions of consumer devices would have instantly gone dark.
The public backlash would have been disastrous.
Exactly. The WEP disaster taught us that security requires absolute mathematical rigor. Yet time and again, we deliberately compromise that rigor for the sake of backward compatibility. Attackers don't even try to break WPA3 anymore. They just aim for the screen door.
And even WPA3 itself has a few cracks. The material mentions it's vulnerable to certain cache-based side-channel attacks.
Right. Side-channel attacks are brilliant in a really devious way. Instead of trying to break the encryption mathematics directly, the attacker observes the physical hardware running the math.
Wait, really?
Yeah, think of a safecracker who can't figure out the combination, so they put a stethoscope to the metal and listen to the gears clicking.
Oh, wow.
In a cache-based attack, malware observes how the device's memory cache behaves while processing the encryption, looking for tiny variations in timing or power usage to slowly leak the secret keys.
It just never ends.
It really doesn't.
And that actually transitions us perfectly to the final section of our deep dive. Even with state-of-the-art encryption, a lot of attackers realize that trying to break AES math or pulling off a complex cache attack is just too hard.
It takes way too much computing power.
Right. So they bypass the encryption entirely by attacking the architecture of the network and human psychology.
Exactly. We are talking about access control threats now. This is where hacking leaves the realm of advanced mathematics and becomes all about misdirection.
And the absolute easiest way in, AP misconfiguration. A network administrator just leaves the default SSID, like Netgear, or they use a ridiculously weak password. And the wild part to me is that sophisticated intrusion detection systems will usually ignore this completely.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because the access point is an authorized piece of hardware. The security system trusts the machine, even if a human being configured it terribly.
That's the human element for you. And then you have techniques like MAC spoofing.
Right.
Remember earlier we discussed the BSSID, the hard-coded physical address of a device?
Yes, the MA address.
Every network card has one. But the operating software can lie about it.
Wait, it can lie?
Oh, completely. An attacker can scan the network, find the NSE address of the CEO's laptop, wait for the CEO to go to lunch, and then tell their own malicious machine, hey, tell the router that I am the CEO's laptop.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they put on a digital disguise, bypassing access filters just by wearing a trusted face.
But the attack that truly blew my mind involves something called promiscuous clients.
This one is rough.
The curriculum states that 802.1 wireless cards are fundamentally programmed to constantly hunt for a stronger signal.
Yep.
Like, if you are walking through a massive airport, your phone automatically hops from one router to the next so your streaming music doesn't drop.
Which we all love, right?
Right. But attackers exploit this helpful behavior by setting up what is called an evil twin.
It is a devastatingly simple attack.
Tell me about it.
The hacker brings their own malicious access point to a coffee shop, let's say. They give it the exact same SSID, the same network name as the real coffee shop Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
But they crank up the broadcast power so their signal is much stronger than the legitimate router.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Because your smartphone is a promiscuous client, constantly looking for the best possible connection, it will automatically drop the real network and connect to the hacker's evil twin. And usually the user has absolutely no idea it even happened.
So what does this all mean? It's brilliant, but terrifying. Instead of a burglar sweating for hours trying to pick the heavy deadbolt on your business, they just paint a fake storefront right next door, put up a much brighter neon sign, and wait for you to voluntarily walk in and hand over your wallet.
That's exactly what happens.
Because once you connect to the evil twin, the attacker controls everything. They intercept your traffic, serve you fake banking login pages, inject malware. It's just game over.
And this raises a really critical point about how we design our technology. The entire 802.11 roaming feature is built purely for user convenience.
Right, so we don't drop calls.
Exactly. We demand seamless connectivity as we walk. Our devices are literally hard-coded to be promiscuous and automatically trust loud signals with familiar names.
Wow.
In this scenario, security is the direct victim of convenience. The attacker didn't need to break WPA3 encryption. They didn't need a supercomputer. They just needed to offer a louder signal and let your phone's own programming betray you.
It is a sobering thought. So, all right, let's take a breath and recap the journey we've taken through this invisible ocean.
It's been quite a ride.
It really has. We started with the physical, unbounded realities of radio waves, where a parabolic grid antenna can snatch a signal from 10 miles away.
Right.
We traced the alphabet soup of the 802.11 standards, seeing how the commercial demand for faster video streaming became the ultimate delivery system for vital security upgrades.
The Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse. We explored the difference between checking IDs with authentication versus scrambling the conversation with encryption. We walked through the historic failure of WEP, the band-aid of WPA, the gold standard math of WPA2, and the modern live negotiation of WPA3.
Yep, the whole arms race.
And finally, we saw how attackers often abandon the math altogether, choosing instead to exploit human misconfiguration and the inherent promiscuity of our devices through evil twin attacks.
It just highlights this continuous evolving struggle. Every time cryptographers build a stronger mathematical wall, an attacker finds a new psychological window or a transition mode screen door to climb through.
So the next time you connect to a network, whether you are settling in with your laptop at a local coffee shop or just sitting on your couch connecting to your own home router, take a second.
Yeah, think about it.
Visualize those invisible, unbounded signals you are broadcasting out into the world right through the physical walls. Remember that security is never a static state. It is an active, endless process.
We really have to stop treating wireless networks like a secure, locked building and start treating them like what they truly are.
Which is
a conversation being shouted across a crowded public square.
Which leaves us with one final, chilling concept to ponder from all this. The curriculum today showed us exactly how effortlessly an attacker can lure a device to a stronger fake signal.
Very effortlessly.
Right now, our world is rapidly accelerating toward the reality of smart cities. We are putting autonomous vehicles on the road that rely on instantaneous, high-speed Wi-Fi to communicate with other cars, navigate busy intersections, and avoid catastrophic collisions.
Right.
If an attacker can use a boosted signal to trick a smartphone into connecting to an evil twin just to steal a banking password, what happens when attackers use these exact same radio manipulation techniques not to steal data, but to alter the physical reality a speeding autonomous car perceives?
That is the frontier we are rushing toward. The stakes change completely when the data being manipulated isn't just a password, but the brakes of a 2-ton vehicle.
Something to think about next time you see that little Wi-Fi fan icon light up on your screen. Until next time, keep questioning the invisible world around you.